welcome to the Gaia update for the June solstice, happening June 21st, 2019. I'm Adrienne Elise. Well, this solstice has an incredible lining up of astrology, with Mars and Mercury together coming first into an opposition with Saturn and then with Pluto. It's a powerful opposition in the axis of Cancer, Mars and Mercury in Cancer, and Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn, speaking to this next year and a half of astrology, the 2020 astrology, when Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto all come together in Capricorn. So we're having some hints and clues and nudging into this new chapter, very powerful messages in this lining up of astrological forces for this June solstice. So Mercury and Mars are both our daily planets. They're closer to us, they move quickly, they represent our daily life. And Mars is our main action planet. The warrior wants to see some stuff happen, but Mercury is also an action planet. We know how it feels sometimes when Mercury's retrograde and, things kind of slow up. And so both of these planets together are about moving forward and getting to the next place and figuring it out. Mercury wants to figure it out. And so we're trying to make sense and get a clue about this 2020 astrology. This is an incredible time of preparation for this next year and a half. And so what's being shown to us is where we have given our power away to the structures and the needs of our life. Our survival is coming up a lot because Cancer energy is about home and family and security, feeling safe, having what you need, being nurtured, and having what you need on an emotional level. And so Capricorn is the authority structures of our life, and Saturn can be associated with the father in the birth chart, and the whole energy of Father God, of these are the rules, these are the regulations, these are how you need to get things done, the patriarchal structures of our world. And so our need for nurturing and our structures, patriarchal structures, are in a dance right now, and our daily planets going through Cancer is bringing up a lot of emotions and grief and energies of maybe failure type feeling of energies and hopelessness and stuff like that around our past, and feeling stuck and unable to get through, because Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn have an energy of Saturn has an energy of obstructions and things that are working against your forward motion. So with Mars, now Saturn's an action planet too, but Saturn wants to take slow, methodical action with a very strong base and a very strong structural integrity, step by step, that mountain goat moving up the mountain. And so when Mars and Saturn are opposite, it's like, ooh, it's a grinding of the gears, because Mars wants to go and Saturn wants to do it right. And Mars just wants to plow through, And, but this is a delicate time, right? So Mars in Cancer is like, whoa, hold on, Mars, it's delicate, right? We got to go slow. We got to assimilate. We've got to deal with these emotional upheavals. We've got to examine these deep structural patterns that keep emerging in our life that we're not sure of the origin. And that's all being shown to us right now. And so that is the energy of this solstice. Now, Mercury and Mars are also close to the North Node, and the North Node of the Moon in Cancer, so it's really highlighting this. The North Node of the Moon is, how are we going to get to where we're going? Like, what is the method? What do we need to do? And Mars is, of course, being like, yeah, what do we need to do? We need to move. Mars does not like to be stuck in circles in the water signs, but that's where he is right now. And so he's trying to keep his head above the water and trying to maybe, maybe he's flailing a little bit, not necessarily floating peacefully, especially with all these emotions coming up. And Mars just wants to move, and these emotions are making us stop and face these places in our life where we feel, with Jupiter and Sagittarius, of course, those feelings of not having a satisfying life, wanting to be more creative, wanting to have our work more in alignment with our spiritual gifts. A lot of that frustration is coming up with that. And so the emotions have to do with this, about these forces working against you. Why can't you just do what you're here to do? Why can't you just express and bring forward these beautiful gifts? Because we need them. The world wants them. But even, we've all been programmed that we can't handle them, or they're not worthy, or they're not important, they're not valuable. But we're having a massive shift in our value system with Uranus in Taurus. And part of that is whether or not we can value nurturing. And we need to have a shift around that in order to move forward in our human evolution. And so this is all on the table right now with this massive balloon of Cancer. Now, Mercury in Cancer, the reason why it stays so close to Mars, this is so amplified because typically Mercury will just cruise by Mars and they'd be together for a day or two, right? Now, because Mercury is slowing down, getting ready for another retrograde already. And so it enters into its retrograde shadow on the day before the solstice, on the 20th. And so this solstice, I was kind of seeing it as, moving through the eye of the needle of the solstice. And now I'm definitely seeing it that we're kind of moving into a portal that is ongoing, a very strange period of time as we move in, because the next moon cycle that happens, the next new moon in Cancer, because the nodes of the moon are in Cancer and Capricorn, that means that the new moon in Cancer is an eclipse, and it's a total solar eclipse. It's only visible from Chile, a small little part of Chile and Argentina, but it is a total solar eclipse, which means the whole planet is going to feel that energy. And eclipses, the sun and the moon are together, and so it's a new moon, and a complete and total lining up, right, to the point where the sun is covered and then it's revealed. So we're going to be having some revelations in our life. We're going to be having some discoveries, and it all has to do with everything we're talking about, this Cancer Capricorn axis, about structures of power versus the value of nurturing. So it's a portal that's going to last through the eclipse season, and there's a partial lunar eclipse also in July, on the 16th of July. So we're moving right into this eclipse season, and then we've got the reason, coming back to Mercury and Mars are very close together for a whole week because Mercury's slowing down, getting ready for this retrograde, heading into its retrograde shadow on the 20th. And so we're going, this portal energy of this incredible lining up of astrology and this June solstice is going to continue into August as we move through this eclipse cycle. So here we go. And I'm not quite sure what's going to be revealed and what is going to make sense and not make sense, because these planets, especially Mercury, is so active. And get this, the Mercury retrograde is happening in Cancer. And so it is highlighting all of these issues, and Mercury wants us to, Mercury wants to make sense of things and to understand and assimilate into our daily thinking. And Mercury the messenger, and so Mercury is going to get messages in this retrograde in Cancer about what this North Node in Cancer is about, what we're trying to do. So, but it goes into Leo first before it starts its retrograde. And it starts its retrograde on July 7th. And so, but we're going to feel the retrograde energy starting on this solstice. And then it will come out of retrograde on July 31st. So July, whole month of July is like, whoa, we're still in the portal. We're in the eclipse season. We're still getting over the June astrology, and so just a lot going on. And when it's like this in the stars, when the planets are lining up in these ways, it's saying, pay attention. Pay attention to what's happening. There's messages for us on how to use this energy, and it's a crucial, potent time. It might not make sense of why or how right now, you know, so we're still feeling the effect of the last eclipse season that happened in January. It's 6 months that energy can continue, you know, and so that'll be moving us right into 2020. So we've got this incredible lining up, and then in the backdrop of this solstice is like a leaping off point, and but we're not leaping off anywhere yet. We're leaping off into a portal, and it's kind of like a terminal or something, right? We're just kind of like, okay, July, we're off, we're going somewhere. We don't know where we're going, but we need to kind of sit tight and be ready for a journey. That's kind of the energy of it. And it all starts on this solstice. So the other thing that's really powerful for this solstice, besides this Mercury, Mars opposite Saturn and Pluto, and so in the nodes, Mercury, Mars, North Node, Saturn, Pluto, South Node. North Node, how are we going to get to where we're going? We've got to value nurturing and allow ourselves to receive. And then what's holding us back from the past with the South Node karmically, we've got Saturn, our structures of our authority, home in Capricorn, and Pluto, desire to break down and rebuild those structures. And so it's like we gotta have a revolution and transformation of our physical world. That goes right along with our transformation around receiving nurturing. So a great energy with these North Node and Cancer, and we're going to be feeling that so strongly. So as much as we have this tension, we have the ego death, we have the karmic bloom, we've got this beautiful connection to this nurturing energy and this great mother, this mantle of like love and hope and peace that's like blanketing the planet with this North Node, especially with the North Node in trine to Neptune during this South Node, during this solstice. So very potent and powerful astrology. The other thing that's happening is the backdrop, which Saturn sextile Neptune and Jupiter square Neptune exact at the same time. I talked about these. These are the main transits happening in 2019. They happen 3 different times. Incredibly rare to have them happen at the exact same time. And that's the last 2 weeks of June. And so that's what is making this magical portal, as well as this lining up energy, this tension, and oppositions have this energy about there's something to learn here. There's something to learn from the other side. So this Cancer Capricorn axis is just so highlighted. But what are we really trying to do? Saturn sextile Neptune is saying that these structures of our world, these laws and rules and the way we've gone about things are up for review. We can change them. We don't have to stay in our prison planet. We can change it. We can dream something different. We know inside of ourselves that we are way more powerful than this lower control energy grid, and we can create an organic Christ consciousness grid that is about this Eden star, this potential of our planet. It's this birth of the 5D Earth that's trying to happen right now, and we're going right along with the birth. And so that requires a death process in that ego construct and those belief systems. And that's where our shakeup is occurring in this transition. And so, of course, that's all being shown to us. And the solstice is just like, boom. You know, in the northern hemisphere, it's the longest day of the year. It's a lot of sunlight, and it's like, okay, illumination, right? And then we're also looking at what's been in the dark. And so that's kind of the energy of solstice, because it's this extremes end of the spectrum. And we are just going out to the end of this pattern, and we have an opportunity to start a whole new cycle. on this June solstice, but it's going to be a little weird as we move into this eclipse season. Mercury retrograde in Cancer. Now Mercury goes a little bit into Leo, which is interesting, before it takes its retrograde. And Leo is about illumination and creative energy and joy and shining the light on. So it's like there's light at the end of this strange portal tunnel. We just have to go through the journey and the transformation and into the unknown. It's being demanded of us that we go through the unknown, but there is light at the other end. We know that. That's who we are. And so that's pretty interesting. So when Mercury in August comes back comes out of its retrograde shadow, that'll be a pretty profound time where we'll finally be able to make some sense of what this particular contraction, astrological contraction that started at the beginning of June, is about. So here we go. I'm so glad we're in it together, and I hope that you'll consider joining a soul group session. This is happening leading up to the exact time of the solstice. It's about an hour. It's going to start about an hour before the exact solstice. That's 9 a.m. Mountain Time in the U.S. on Friday the 21st. And it's going to be about an hour. It's $20. And what this is we're going to be looking at shared past life pictures. You can get a sense of what my intuitive sessions are like, where we look at past lives, get clearings, healings, and it's kind of cool when you do it in a group because you're looking at shared past life energy. So it's a little more general than an individual session, but it shows us the clearings and healings and concepts, archetypal concepts that can be so great. And then we can send those out to our greater soul groups and to the collective and amplify all of our opportunity for resetting, clearing, and being ready for the next chapter and the next phase, because it is not going anywhere. We are going full bore ahead. Maybe this portal energy is starting now, because really we had, with this Mercury and Mars opposite Saturn, we're feeling, and Pluto, it's like all about the 2020 astrology. So it's almost like this solstice is starting the process, and we've got a whole year and a half, because when the magic really starts or happens is on the December solstice of 2020. That's when Saturn and Jupiter move together into the sign of Aquarius. So we got a year and a half of preparation. It's like an official beginning. We've been preparation. We've been in the transition zone, but I feel like December solstice 2020 is the official start of the Aquarian age. And that's up for review. It takes a few hundred years to transition, so who knows, but there's a lot of energy towards just stepping over the threshold, and here we are in this year and a half preparation. Are you going to be ready for that? Are you going to take that leap, or are you going to stay in the old? And it's up to us to decide. And by paying attention and being present for this epic lining up of astrology, we can make the most of this time, and we can amplify our healing and connect with our soul group and support each other along the way. So I really appreciate your joining, and please let anybody else know who might be a resonant with this message, so we can grow our soul group connections. And so I hope to see you on Friday for that soul group session where we look at shared past life pictures, get clearings and healings, and there's a link to sign up in the information box below. And so I hope to see you there. If not, I will see you next time, and I appreciate being part of the 21 Days of Presence. Very powerful experience for all of us. And but we'll keep in touch through this eclipse season. I'm going to be doing soul group sessions for these eclipses as well, so that we can just really tap in and prepare and be present for what's happening and validate our experiences, right? Coming together and validating what's going on in these inner psychic realms, even if we don't really understand. So helpful to feel that support with each other. So thanks so much for joining, and I look forward to seeing you on the solstice or next time. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.